Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest upsets of all time in grappling. We're going to get into it. This most recent weekend, there was a huge upset in the world of NCAA wrestling. In the heavyweight category, we're going to talk about it. The internet is on fire. This got me sparked, and I said, you know what, Joe? We need upsets. What are the top 5 greatest upsets in combat sport history? You're about to find out. And also, what is number 1 of these 5 exceptional matches? Ladies and gentlemen, the excitement builds as only an upset can bring the electricity of sport to life. Let's get into it now. Also, on an exciting tip, please hit the like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us, keeps the electricity flowing. Do it now. The greatest upsets in the history of grappling. I'm talking about the greatest upsets of all time. Now, Joe, on the weekend, they're saying it's the greatest upset in the history of the NCAA. Now, I'm a bit of a nerd for the wrestling.
Which is not just wrestling. That's all
National
college association. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so his name is Wyatt Hendrickson. He's a heavyweight. And he went up against Gable Steveson. Gable Steveson was Olympic gold medalist. And you might have seen him training with John Jones.
Yep.
He did it.
Can't miss him because he does the mad back handsprings.
Backflips. He's so athletic for a dude as thick as he is. And at the last, in the dying seconds, he beat a great Georgian champion who was favorite to be Olympic champion. So him becoming an Olympic champion was an upset of sorts.
Right.
And then after that, people were like, God, no one's stopping Gable Steveson. And they didn't know what he's going to do next. Is he going to do MMA? Is he going to WWE? You know, what's this guy going to do? Because he's such a beast, right?
Isn't this his last year at college?
Yeah.
I always find that funny, however that works for in America.
And people were a bit, I don't know if they're upset, but they felt like he was cherry picking to go back to college.
Right.
Like it's oftentimes that once you're a collegiate champion and you go to like national team or you go to, say, the Olympics, that's you've moved on.
Yeah.
And for him to go back to college, there's a few people like, this guy coming back to
sandbagging,
kind of beat up on people.
Yeah.
In the dying seconds. So he was down, I think it was 3-5, or it could be like 2-4. Like it was very close. Wyatt just commits on this leg, and it looks like maybe Steveson doesn't really fully respect it. And then he turns the corner and switches it to a double, and then he just powers through, and the whole stadium is losing their minds. And you're like, this is not possible. Is this possible? And it happens. Less happiness. Lose their minds. I lost my mind. I was like, Gable Steveson lost? Is that possible? And this is what I want to talk about. It got me on a tornado of thought about the greatest upsets because the internet is ablaze with that being the greatest upset in NCAA history. And I was like, what other great upsets have there been that make grappling so great?
Oh, let's go there. You got it like one that sticks out?
I'm tormented.
Don't give me the top 100.
I've cut it back to the top 50, Joe. I want to start with one that is kind of personal to me because it blows my mind that this guy called it before he did it. Craig Jones versus Leandro Lo.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this hurts because I am a massive Leandro Lo fan. Hero forever, RIP. I love Leandro. I cried for a week after he passed away. It still upsets me to this day. Craig at the gym said he might end up matched up against Leandro at ADCC because Leandro was seeded as like a number 1 or number 2 for that category.
Right.
And Craig was not. He was not rated at that time. And he said, Leandro won't tap. And he said this in the gym. We were standing around after training. He's like, I think I probably have to because he moves a lot, I probably have to fuck his leg up somehow. I don't know how. Like I leg lock him. He probably won't tap, but I'll bust him up. And then I'll take his back. That's what he said, because the only way I can beat him is I have to choke him out.
Right.
There's the only way.
Because he's not going to tap to something.
He called his shot in the gym like 2-3 months before.
Wow.
And that's exactly what Craig Jones did, dude.
We do. He heel hooked him first.
He heel hooked him. Leandro didn't tap, kind of spun out, but it fucked his knee, right? So he couldn't do his amazing knee cut on the right side, which is what he always does. Craig kind of gets the arm drag sit out, does the amazing kind of rollover back take, and chokes Leandro low. It was spectacular.
Craig was a nobody at the time too.
But he wasn't.
He wasn't what he is.
That was his breakout moment.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
I mean, I don't think. Do you think that Leandro would have been looking at tape of Craig Jones?
I don't think Leandro watches tape of anybody.
Right.
I think he watches tape of himself. He just comes in,
and
just does, and that was amazing because then he did the kind of jump triangle against Murilo Santana.
That's right. It's a bad day for Brazilians.
It was, and then he I think this might be the same tournament. He did end up losing, unfortunately, to Keenan. Because he would have fought Gordon in the final if that had worked out. But then he beat Chael Sonnen in the absolute.
Oh, was that comp?
Yeah. And then they became great mates as a result.
I saw a clip that popped up the other day, and it was something like, it was like, Craig Jones is such a gangster. Here's clips of him like submitting MMA guys, and it's like him versus Chael. And you're like, it's a different sport.
Yeah.
And Chael's old.
Yeah. Craig absolutely ascending and maybe Chael at the end.
That's right.
But yeah, it was an awesome tournament for
I remember that. That was huge upset.
A massive upset. And I believe that is really what got the ball rolling for him.
This is a bit of a wildcard entry into the conversation, but was that around the same time that Levi beat Lucas Lepre?
No, that happened a little bit after. It happened like 1 or 2 years after. Because
Did it?
No, Levi, but it was also specifically how Levi he birimboloed Lucas Lepre.
Yeah.
Which no one, like the Meows weren't able to do it. Keenan was able to, no one was able to birimbolo Lucas Lepre. And, that's what Levi did. And it was immaculate to see him be so determined. And at that time, I mean, Lucas, I think he won the absolute. And that the people saying he was fatigued, that's why. Because they run the absolute first, and he fought a giant guy in the semis, and who knows. But that was definitely Lucas Lepre at his peak. And Levi came through and won. That was for sure an upset. I didn't know how that match was going to go, but it made my heart swell.
Well, Lucas, one of those guys you tend to think he never loses.
Oh, he got beaten by Leandro was his kryptonite. He had lost to Leandro like probably 2 or 3 times, but pretty much anyone else Lucas Lepre would beat. Yeah, right. And they wouldn't score any points on him. So for him to get outpointed was just like pretty tough. Huge. Yeah. But let's go sideways because this is your mention. Let's go outside of grappling for a second.
Yeah, real shit.
Let's go. Fuck off. How deep? Get the fuck out of here.
We're talking about cricket, tennis. Where are we at?
Golf? Something real. Let's go to MMA because what did you bring up? Your opinion of like one of the great upsets.
Greatest upset. Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman won.
Yes, sir.
The head kick in the 5th round.
Oh my god.
The head kick that stopped the entire world.
Headshot.
Right. And then
the chat. The chat with the coach.
Oh, that
Come
clip?
on, Leon.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
Yeah.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because you can even, Joe and whoever else is like commentating is like, oh, he's got to do something now. He's not, like, he's down.
It was just, Leon just looked terrible the whole fight. He was just not in it, Yeah. And I really struggle to understand how he was able to do that. Like how he was able to snatch victory like that because you're like...
But he landed a couple shots before he did the kick, right? You see him...
Yeah, like he's like peppering, doing the thing, but you're just like, you've just been getting dominated for 4.5 rounds, To be like, to just get the timing and the execution perfect.
Boom.
Yeah, staggering.
It was... colossal.
Kamaru expects him to go low. He goes high. It's like a baseball bat to the side of the head.
Oosh, and
clean knockout.
Folds him.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I think everybody was doing the Joe Rogan like, like I got out my seat, man. I was at the RSL. I actually didn't care who won that, but that result filled me with enough adrenaline. I was non-stop for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like that was amazing. And this is what I want to tap into, Joe. This feeling that the magic trick of sport, which is the upset. It's electric. Because I think it's what really...
It's why we're there.
Yeah.
You kind of, you want that. Well...
You're not... well...
And it's not always what you want, but yeah, that thing is like, if you could get that every time, you'd want it.
Oh, it's the heroin of...
Yeah.
It's the cocaine of sport is the upset. And I'm actually I wouldn't necessarily say it was an upset, but for sure, if we look at momentum, when Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor.
Ah.
Because at that time, McGregor looked untouchable. But what I had thought before, at that time, like he was just beating everybody.
Yep.
But Conor gave up reach, he gave up height, and he was kind of coming up a weight category.
Yeah.
Which is all the advantages Conor had always had against all his opponents.
Yeah.
He's always taller, longer, and had better striking.
Yeah.
And you're going against a guy with a concrete head. You know, this is a guy Conor's not going to knock out.
Yeah.
So you've taken away 3 major things. And I remember talking to a friend who made a bunch of money on that day. A friend of mine made like 16 G's. He bet on Nate and he bet on Misha Tate.
Oh yeah.
And Misha Tate beat Holly Holm that day.
Oh wow.
And you could say Holly Holm beating Ronda Rousey is also...
That was a huge upset.
Another
also,
head kick.
Wonderful left head kick.
Oh my God. Yeah. Amazing. And actually my partner Ola was at that.
Oh, was she?
At that event in Melbourne.
That I think I still watch highlights of that, and I'm like, yes, Holly Holm.
Yeah,
it was just like it was just like justice was delivered. With a swift snap kick to the head.
Bit of a dutz.
Yeah, that's a Lebanese snap kick to the side of the head, mate.
Guido Hutchins. Amazing. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's fine. If you know, you know.
It was back when comedy used to come on a CD and you'd play it and listen to it.
And then mild racism was allowed in Australia. But yeah, Eric Banner could do no wrong. I think when I think about that, the great thing was Nate had fallen out of popularity, and everyone was like, "Nah, Nate's a write-off."
Yeah.
And when Nate's like, "No, man, I'll talk. You know, I'm that talk. Like I'm original, like gangster. Like he ain't this guy." But the funny thing is, Conor was making fun of the good parts of Nate's personality, like, "Oh, he teaches jiu-jitsu to kids. What a pussy." You're like, "Nah, bro, that's nice. That shows that he's actually a good person." Like, you know, Nate, as wild as he is as a human, he's actually like, he's got heart. He's not just a asshole, you know? And it was so interesting, the build up, because I felt like it really reignited Nate's career.
Yeah.
But he did what no one else was able to do, which was weather the kind of Conor storm and then just keep slugging at him. And then when Conor just didn't like eating the shots, shot in, got defended, got stuffed.
Conor shooting a takedown, like it was such a Hail Mary, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He's like, I don't want to get punched in the face anymore.
And then hitting him, turning him over and choking him.
Yeah.
I ain't surprised, motherfucker. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty iconic.
It was immaculate.
I mean, you know, Conor wasn't as much on my radar at that time, but I remember the fight itself being huge.
Iconic, yeah.
And I think I was actually disappointed that Conor lost.
Oh,
I think at the time, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people, he had a lot of positive energy. Everybody was loving.
Yeah, it was exciting watching the ascendancy.
The steam train of who he was. But no, he gave away too many elements there, I believe. But yeah, MMA does present so many great... I mean, there's so many that we could list, but those ones that just stand out in your mind, which just get you out your seat.
To that point, I'd say Conor versus Jose Aldo.
Oh, just...
was a huge upset because no one expected Jose to lose like that.
Not that
like
fast.
Jose Aldo, for those that don't know, is one of the best MMA
Greatest
fighters of all time.
Yeah,
like
10 or 11 title defenses.
Yeah, like so good. And you're
so
like,
tough.
You're like, oh, at the very least, this is going to be a great fight.
Barn burner fight.
Yeah, like Jose is like great, like super aggressive, you know, and then he just gets ganked in like 10 seconds.
For me, the most disappointing fight of my life.
Yeah, I would agree.
I was
spewing.
I was so upset.
I mean, it was an amazing moment.
I was in an Irish pub.
Oh, wow.
Full of Irish men.
I love going to those Irish pubs.
Conor McGregor. I was just crying. Had to leave. I couldn't be there. I wanted them to cry. Like, no, I just left. But it's just those moments in time. You're like, okay, it's the Conor McGregor time now. Like, it's how it goes.
What you got?
All right, mate, I want to actually say Jacare versus Roger Gracie.
We're going back into the archives.
OG, we're talking Tijuca de Tennis Club. I'm telling you, man, that match, that's when Roger was the GOAT, basically. He's beating everybody. He wasn't quite 10 times champion yet, but this is back when the World Championships was still in Brazil.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Jacare at that time was a champion and had beaten many people.
For those that don't know, yes, Jacare fought in the UFC. That same guy was a jiu-jitsu world champion before he fought MMA.
Far more frightening as a grappler.
Yeah.
ADCC, gi, no gi, didn't matter. That guy was so explosive.
Yeah.
He just double leg you, shoulder throw you. Like, he was so dynamic. And
he was kind of old by the time he got to the UFC.
Yeah,
right?
he was definitely past his prime.
Combat age, yeah.
For sure. But he was just... The reason why it was an upset was Roger Gracie was just absolutely closed guard, sweeping, mounted, cross-choking everyone. It didn't matter who he fought. He beat them. And he gets Jacare in an armbar, and Jacare just shucking out. The referee's looking at him, and he breaks Jacare's arm and kind of semi-dislocates his shoulder. And Jacare just grits out. And he's up on points. He just shoves his hand in the belt and it's like, come get me, sucker. And you're like, what the And Hodger's like, ref, stop it. I broke his arm. He's like, no, get up, fight him. And Hodger's like, oh shit, I'm down on points. And at that time, it was considered to be the greatest jiu-jitsu match of all time because it was kind of this epitome of like, well, it's funny that it was the greatest match of all time because it's like the epitome of pride of like not tapping.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, break my arm.
Yeah.
Now I'm the champion. I won through pride. You're like, is that the epitome of jiu-jitsu? Bit of an irony there. But man, it is still, if you go back and you watch that match, it's very back and forth. I think Jacare does get a takedown, couple, maybe two. But Hodger, maybe the score's like 6-4. It's pretty close. And just by virtue of Jacare winning the absolute against Roger Gracie, it's like one of the only losses in Hodger's history other than maybe one or two to Shanji.
I feel it important to share a piece of context here for those less initiated with the Portuguese language, because I remember when I was a white belt hearing one of the brown belts at the academy talking about this match.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, wait, what was this? And he was like, oh, when Roger Gracie fought Jacare.
Yeah.
And I'm like both of those, like if you're not, remember
what names are they?
Hodger and Jacare, I'm like, these guys have got French names. Like there's a French dude. All I heard was Jacques. Jacques, and you're like, what? Like it just made no sense to me. Now they're household names for us, right?
Yeah.
Jacare means alligator, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that was his thing.
Yeah, he used to
do the big fucking
yeah, it was mad.
But yeah, it's just so fun. And then Roger Gracie, obviously, like it's got the R in his name, but it's the soft R.
Yes,
it's those little things that most of us get now. But I think someone who maybe started jiu-jitsu and doesn't live in Brazil just a few weeks ago would be like, what the fuck is with these?
Isn't it Roger?
Yeah,
I'm talking about Roger. Is that Roger Gracie's brother?
I've only seen,
No, but it's something about at that time, the popularity of the R being a strong first letter in a name. So many of the Gracies, their name starts with an R.
I mean, that was a belief that Elio had, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
So that's how it goes. It may be confusing, but I actually want to switch gears.
My son, Leo,
it's
actually RLEO. You just don't pronounce the R. I don't know if you know that.
Is that something to do with his cultural heritage? Real. No, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I freaking love sodi. Why? Because I'm always dehydrating myself with too much caffeine. And when I got to hydrate, I get a sodi. Sodi is the sponsor of today's show. It is delicious. It's got the perfect mix of sodium, potassium, and magnesium to keep the water in your muscles so you can grapple better for longer. Go to sodi, SODII.com.au and use the code Bulletproof15, get 15% off, get hydrated, and power on. Shoo. The reason why I would say, for me, this stands out as one of the greatest upsets of all time is I was there and I felt the energy change in a stadium. Now, I think sometimes if you're in a stadium, whether you're watching a soccer match or whatever it is, something happens and it electrifies the crowd. It's like some gladiatorial shit. 2019, let me throw you back, Joe.
Take me.
There was a bit of stuff going on. There was some matchups. There was a lot of talk had, and it was all about Felipe Pena versus Gordon Ryan.
Right.
Which was absolutely one of the most disappointing matches in the history of... Felipe Pena versus Andre Galvão.
Right. Oh, this is at ADCC.
ADCC.
When Andre just bullied him the whole time, pushed him and
took him down, and it looked like Pena didn't even show up.
Yeah.
He looked unwell. He looked the opposite of what steroids should do.
Yeah.
Andre looked the epitome of what steroids should do.
He was so jacked
bro, just crazy the contrast between them. Whereas previously, the 2019, Pena had beaten Gordon Ryan in the absolute.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, Pena is the man. Like, Nogi, wow. You know, and Gordon since then had kind of built himself up, be like, no, fuck that. I'm coming up. So what was so interesting about this tournament, we had seen Lachlan Giles win at Connecticut as part of Team BJJ Fanatics. So Lockie was coming in and had submitted almost a whole team by himself.
Right on.
And, being in the training hall at that time was pretty special. Craig had gone across to DDS. He wasn't around so much. And so, we're just training leg locks and guard retention and wrestling. It's pretty much all we did for like 12 months. That was what the training room was all about. And to see Lockie build the kind of backside 50-50 heel hook game, which he openly says he got it from the Meows and Cobrinha, and they used it for 50-50 to get sweeps. He was going to use it to get inside heel hook because both him and Craig had agreed this is the most effective submission. To see what he did at Connecticut and just do this run and beat heavyweights, beat all sizes, beat Mancha, who at the time hadn't been submitted by a leg lock and exploded his knee.
This is in Connecticut?
Yeah, it was a revenge match. It was like the first match. And that time, Mancha was training at Marcelo's gym, I believe, before he went across to Unity and was considered to be a really great no-gi grappler.
Mancha,
yeah, I think he has an Indian background.
Okay.
I'm not sure. No, Mancha maybe he was silver at No-Gi Worlds, or maybe he's a No-Gi World Champion. I don't want to discredit him. He's an amazing grappler in his own right.
Yeah.
And he had beaten Lockie before, and so it was like a bit of revenge there.
Yeah.
But when Lockie went to ADCC 2019, first round he gets Lucas Lepre.
Yeah.
And Lucas Lepre does one of the best f***ing wizard backtakes I have ever seen. And I was standing mat side for that shit, and it broke my heart. All of us were harboring this secret hope that Lockie would dark horse the lightweight category.
Yeah.
And he didn't. Lucas camped down, squashed down, didn't let Lockie get to the legs, and then he did this kind of passing, leaping, rolling back take. It was phenomenal. You're like, what the was that? He took Lockie's back, and then he was pretty much the match. And we were gutted because we really thought Lockie was going to do something big. And I was there backstage when the man in question, the previous ADCC organizer, Mo Jassim, said to Lockie,
because he's not the organizer
no,
anymore.
not
That's
anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, do you want to do the absolute? Livia was there. Lockie was there. I was just standing nearby eating some Chipotle, which was supplied. Not an athlete, just lurking in the background, eating all the snacks. And Simon Carson, who's the co-owner of Absolute, the founder of Absolute, but yeah. And Mo said, do you want to do the Absolute? And Lockie's like, I don't know. And Liv's like, don't do it. Simon's like, fuck off, don't do it. Like, that's dumb. And he said, well, look, I know you had your challenges qualifying. He's like, if you do well in the Absolute, I'll give you a free invite back. You won't have to qualify again.
Wow.
And Lockie's like, sign me up.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, yes, Lockie, yes. It'll be like Connecticut, dude. The big guys, you'll be able to, the big guys always want to pressure. They always want to come in. That's perfect for leg locks. Yes. I was like, yeah. And First round, he gets Kainan Duarte, who's just destroyed the heavyweight category.
Yeah, won, right?
Yeah,
just won the division.
Heavyweight champ. You're like, oh my God. Bro, Kainan didn't respect Lockie. And I'm no probably reason to respect him or consider him a threat. And within 3 minutes, he got heel hooked. And that, I believe, was actually the biggest upset right there.
That was the moment.
That was the moment where everyone went, holy shit. Like, don't get me wrong, Gary Tonnen was on one. He was putting on a highlight reel. But the tournament was not the most interesting tournament. Patrick Gaudio was having a war with Mike Perez, which went for 20 minutes and no one scored. And I think he half got a takedown and he won on decision. And it was boring as There were some matches which were boring. There were some matches that were great. Like Craig's matches, pretty awesome. But his final against Mateus Diniz, terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Not Craig's fault. Like Mateus just backing out. Wins on a takedown. That's it. Like that
Smart.
It sucked.
Want to get leg locked.
It was getting so boring that Braulio Estima started like doing the Mexican wave with the crowd, trying to get the energy up because the matches, like everyone wanted to see, a match between Gordon and Buchecha. That's what it was really shaping up for, right? And out comes Lachlan Giles and beats Kainan Duarte. And I tell you, I just lost my mind. I lost my mind in the most selfish, abusive fanboy kind of way. Told everyone they were wrong, even if they probably thought they were right or whatever. I was just flipping people off, being obnoxious. Be like, I told you, Lachlan Giles, motherfucker. Which I had. Like, I didn't know if he could pull it off, but I told a bunch of people he's going to win by inside heel hook.
Yeah, wow.
Because that was like his only real option.
Yeah.
And he did it. And then, yeah, man, we went down there and he was fresh. He looked relaxed. And Patrick Gaudio had completely almost died fighting Mike Perez for 20 minutes and was lying on the ground. And the ref's like, you got to stand up, man. You got to get on. You got to fight this guy.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, oh, give me 5 minutes. Like you're at a tournament and they're like, you're up in 5 minutes. You're like, I just fought.
Yeah.
The match was 10 minutes.
Like,
give me 10 minutes.
Schedule's got to go on.
We got to run this thing, right? And I was looking around. I was looking at Hodge. I was looking at Keller. Looking at Simon. Like looking at the kind of team around us. And we were like, could he do that again? And Lockie was like, how good's that? And we were just like, bro, Olivia, like, we just so great. And what did he do? Now, to his credit, Patrick Gaudio actually gave Lockie the hardest match out of all those guys.
Yeah, right.
Almost passed. Didn't let him leg lock him. Like, they fought for a decent amount of time, but he also refused to tap. So when Lockie finally got that leg, he popped those ligaments real bad.
I had to break some shit.
Yeah, he said it was like three big loud cracks from that knee.
Yeah, wow.
And you can see Patrick's like, it's,
that's the famous image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of like Patrick turning out of it.
Well, actually, no.
Or is that Kanan?
No. That's where it goes next. And this is where the legend fulfills itself. Because I think in that moment, when it happened a second time, everybody was like, this guy is on something.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening.
This dude's going to win.
This guy has got the formula. This little guy, and he's not that little. Like, if you ever meet Lockie, he's like an average size guy.
But they're gigantic humans.
They're huge
guys,
by comparison. And then next round.
Probably bigger than me, some of them.
Well, there you go. But only just bigger than Joe. But he fought Gordon Ryan the next round.
Oh, it was Gordon Ryan next.
Yeah. And what's crazy is prior to that match, they're clearing everyone out. Like Seth Daniels is running it from Fight to Win. He was like f***ing everyone off. Even though I had like a coach's badge, there was athletes, like everybody's trying to get around. Everybody wanted to get Matt's side. It was like a high school scrap. Everybody's like, oh, fuck. And it was Gordon Ryan versus Lachlan Giles. And everybody had that want for the magic of the upset.
Yeah.
If Lachlan Giles could beat Gordon Ryan, the jiu-jitsu world would just open into a black hole and just, it would crater. And it would just turn into a new dimension. And everybody was there. And I overheard, this is no lie, this is firsthand. I'm here, and just across there is Tom, what's his name? Many DVDs. Used to coach Gordon Ryan. Tom DeBlass is there. And Tom DeBlass is not coaching, obviously, but he's watching this match. And we're all there. Because by this point, no one gave a fuck. Seth Daniels didn't even give a fuck. Like, we just wanted to see this match. And he said, oh, shit, he's leaving his legs out there. And he said...
About how Gordon's playing?
Yeah, he's playing with fire. What's he doing? That's what Tom DeBlass said. And Lockie went to the heel. And as he went to get the bite, it kind of slipped.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh. And then also, I think Gordon was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why would I?
It's like he needed that to switch on.
And then he just pulled the legs out. He got low. He crushed. And I mean, Lockie held him off for, I think, 8.5, almost 9 minutes. Eventually, he passed and crushed Lockie's face off. Like, Lockie had this crease over his face from where Gordon had squeezed his face off. But it took him almost 10 minutes to do it. So that was like, you're like, okay, fair. But what that then set up was Buchecha versus Gordon, but then the match between the Giant and the Giant Slayer, which is Muhammad Ali weighing in. That's what it was. Muhammad Ali weighing in at 125 plus kilos against Lachlan Giles weighing in at 72 kilos.
That's what it was.
And I'm telling you from the stands, like it was like Gladiator. Lockie sits to butterfly guard. And Lachlan sitting on the ground is shorter than Muhammad Ali's knees. It is unbelievable.
Muhammad Ali is a giant.
He's a massive human. And I mean, he's lost weight now. He's started doing MMA. He's doing a few other things. But he looked the biggest he's ever looked at that tournament.
Yeah.
And Lachlan sat and he just scooted forward and everyone's like, you could feel the energy in the stadium of people being like, is this going to happen again? Because surely Muhammad, he knows. Yeah. He knows what's going to happen. So Muhammad kind of walks forward into the guard. And so Lockie starts going to K guard and tries to spin a bit. And then, no, like Muhammad backs out. But his instincts of years and years of training, of pressuring in and coming in, he just went back into the guard. And Lockie's like, you sure, bro? And he's like, yep, I'm coming in. And Lockie said, okay, we're doing this. Backside 50-50, motherfucker. Rolls through, and that's when you see that magic clip of Muhammad being like, oh my God, I'm going to have to tap. And the whole stadium exploded. It was so immense. To be there and feel that energy is the greatest moment in my jiu-jitsu life. Wow. More than anything. Because that is a guy who never got his shine and has just absolutely done the world beater thing.
Yeah.
And the reason why I can say this with great definiteness, you know, other than my blinded love for this guy, was the respect he got from everyone on the floor.
Yeah.
Every single champion came up to him and went, bro, you did it. Like, what you did, the best.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Andre Galvan got all the belts, the championships, all that. The line to see Andre was like 50 people, maybe a bit more. The line to see Lockie was like 500 people.
Wow.
Like everybody wanted to just get somewhere near him because what he did was so surprising and it was that magic of the upset.
Yeah.
And it was just like
hard
to encapsulate in words what that does, not only for the love of jiu-jitsu, but what that can do for like the love of an individual athlete.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I remember trying to leave ADCC with Lockie the next 2 years later. When he didn't do it particularly well that time round and in the weight division and he couldn't leave. Yeah. People were just bailing him up.
Yeah.
And, you saw heaps of stars walking around there quite freely, like it's not like everyone's getting bailed. Lockie got bailed out, like he couldn't move. And he had to say to people, we were trying to go and he wanted to get out of there. And he's like, I mean, we were all together, right? I think you'd already left, but we'll share in a cab because we're going back to the same place. And people come, oh, Lockie, can I get your autograph, whatever? And he'd be like, oh, can I get a photo? And he'd say, yeah, can we just walk 25 meters, walk with me, and then we'll stop and do the photo there. And he was strategizing, right? Like this gives you an idea of what kind of guy he is. This is like, how am I going to get to the taxi stand? All right, 25 minutes,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't see anyone else getting harassed to that degree.
No, he's the reluctant celebrity.
Yeah, he doesn't want that, does he? Like,
no, myself, Hodge, we had to kind of like screen him to get him out of the stadium on that day But it's wild to me to see the response in other people who I have idolized. And like Josh Hinger was just like, you did it, Lucky. Look at you, bro. Like,
wow.
you know. And even Gordon's response, like Gordon
was impressed.
Gordon was like, bro, wow, well done. You know, like he did. He was like, until Lockie started like shooting shots at him, being like, we should have a match.
Oh, did he?
Let's say, yeah, there was like a preceding thing. But that idea of the giant slayer and the smaller person beating the bigger person, and I believe.
I mean, it's kind of the hero's tale of jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
It is.
Which we don't really get to see play out that often because you know the giants also know jiu-jitsu. But
yeah,
that was one of those moments where I was like, the little guy's doing it.
Yeah, and now the giants all bought his DVD. Now the giants are all leg locking. God damn it. But there it is, folks. The power and the energy of the upset is, I think, the greatest thing in sport. And I'm sweating right now, Joe. I'm going to just have to have a Red Bull to calm down.
That was sick. Fun to relive.
Good times. There it is, folks.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you.